Hello there everyone and welcome back to what is the winners group of Championship League of 2019. This is day one of two of this group. And this is the fifth match to take to the tables. It is Stuart Bingham, played one, lost one. He was beaten by Judd Trump this morning 3-1. Up against Martin Gould, who around 20 minutes ago defeated John Higgins 3-2. The graphic there is incorrect, of course. It's not John Higgins against Martin Gould, it is Stuart Bingham against Martin Gould. And if Gould were to win this with 2 wins out of 2, much like Neil Robertson already, he'd be fancying his chances of making those playoffs, even though it's very early days. The first chance, though, falls to the 2015 world champion. Starting off the afternoon session on the other table, by the way, Michael McMullen is commentating on what should be a fast-paced affair between Jack Lazowski and Judd Trump.
Foul. Stuart Bingham 5, Martin Gould 7.
Well, that is just cruel. Couldn't legislate for that. Horrible when you pot a colour, go into the bunch and knock in a red simultaneously.
One. Six. Seven.
And this time, really, it's Gould's turn to have some ill fortune, although not on the scale of Bingham. Took the cue ball into the reds nicely there, at reasonable pace. Might have expected to be on something easier than a red he's contemplating to the middle pocket, but surely that's going to be too difficult, especially with the cue ball so close to it. So he's plumping for the red just to the right of the blue, into the yellow bag.
Martin Gould 14. One.
That was really well cued. Stuart Bingham actually made a tremendous start to his match against Judd Trump this morning. Made breaks of 52 and 73 to take a 1-0 lead, but enjoyed no further success. Looking to get off to a similarly agreeable start here.
Eight.
This is the 5th time they've met over the years in the Championship League. Nothing to gain from those head-to-heads, info-wise, because it's 2 wins each.
We'll go longer if you need it.
Another nice pot from Bingham, holding the cue ball delicately while using that horrible spider rest. Very surprisingly, you know, considering they've been around for quite some time, these two, they've only met twice in world ranking events. Both closely contested affairs, both won by Bingham. He beats Gould 6-4 in the 2013 International
16.
Championship in the last 32. And then 5-4 in the quarter-final of the 2015 Shanghai Masters.
$17. 22. 23.
Get the impression Stuart Bingham is building up for a big run at the World Championship. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Course and distance winner, as you undoubtedly know.
$28.
And when he won the World Championship in 2015, that was predated by him winning the Championship League that year. Overcame another tour stalwart in Mark Davis, 3-2 in the final. So the names of both of these players appear on our trophy.
34. 35. $42. $43.
This frame could be possibly coming to an end. I can tell you, the first frame over on table 1, which is being played concurrently, is over. Judd Trump has taken a 1-0 lead over Jack Lazowski. Well, that was the crunch ball, and
43.
it didn't go. Very, very unexpectedly. You see, by potting the outside of the 3 reds here, it frees up the other 2.
One.
27 behind when he came to the table, Gould. But with all of the colours in the open and those 2 reds inviting as well, he'll be fancying the job. Got hold of the cue ball really nicely there, swung it round off a couple of cushions, dropped it on a sixpence.
6. $7. $12. $13.
On the incorrect side of the blue, so might be tempted to take on either green or pink. There's no way with that angle he can take the cue ball all around the table off the blue, so just content to pot a mid-range yellow.
$18.
The good thing for Gould now, he arrives in the colours 9 points adrift. That means yellow to pink will do, so the possibly complex positional shot from pink to black won't be an issue.
$20.
Does the green go past the pink to the yellow bag? I think the way he played it, the answer is most certainly yes.
$23.
And at this precise moment, Bingham's missed pink to middle looks like being really expensive. $27. Level board, just an elementary blue and presumably an elementary pink to follow to win the frame.
32.
He's not missing this, folks. He's going to pinch it.
Martin Gould, 38 on the frame.
Well, it was appropriate that the frame was resolved on the pink. Gould clearing with 38 to snatch it, because the pink was the ball that the frame revolved around. Stuart Bingham might well have won it, but he missed the pink to middle, and Martin Gould did the rest. Martin Gould 1, Stuart Bingham 0. Of course, it's a massive week this for Stuart Bingham. After his involvement here, he flies out to Gibraltar, plays on Saturday, and he will be hoping to play on Sunday as well in the latter stages of the Gibraltar Open. The reason it's such a massive week, the tournament itself is one of the smallest on the circuit, first prize of £25,000. A lot of the top players aren't going to attend. But for him, and also for Kyren Wilson and for David Gilbert, it really is an important event because the field for next week's Tour Championship is not yet in place. 6 players we know are definitely going to be there, but there are 2 more places up for grabs, and it's basically any 2 from those 3, Bingham, Wilson or Gilbert. So apart from concentrating on his own snooker when he's out on the rock, Stuart will be keeping his eye on what Kyren and what David Gilbert does, because being in the Tour Championship is a major thing. And I'll tell you why. It's not just about the prize money, which is substantial. The first prize is £150,000. But if you make the Tour Championship and you get beaten in the first round even, you will receive £20,000. Consequently, 20,000 world ranking points. Now for Bingham, who's still in the race for seedings for the Crucible, although he should be there, those 20,000 are invaluable, as they would be actually for David Gilbert as well, because he's involved in the same race. You see, only the top 16 in the world rankings after the China Open are seeded to the Crucible for the World Championship, and
The second frame.
as the winner 4 years ago, Bingham badly wants to be there, and he badly wants to avoid the qualifying competition. It's physically impossible for Martin Gould to avoid qualifying for the World Championship. He knows he's got that arduous journey ahead. So it's all wheels within wheels on the snooker circuit. One win gets you an advantage, a benefit elsewhere. And as we've said before, if you win the Championship League, one of the benefits is that it gets you a place in next season's Champion of Champions.
One.
Another nice pot from Gilbert from Bingham, and position is attached as well. For the most part in the first frame of this match, I was impressed by Stuart, apart from that ultimately expensive pink.
6.
Well, the angle could work here. Oh, I'll tell you what, he caught that pink absolutely on the nose, and if he's not on a red, that is cruel.
11.
That's precisely the contact you want to make. But I think the obviously easy red is prevented from potting by another. Yes, he's just looking to run safe. Very unlucky.
Stuart Bingham.
By the way, just tidying up what I was telling you about the Tour Championship. It's the top 8 players on the one-year ranking list. Mark Allen, Ronnie O'Sullivan, Judd Trump, Neil Robertson, Mark Selby and Mark Williams are already there.
One.
As Martin Gould strokes in another cracking pot. Yes, so Allen, O'Sullivan, Trump, Robertson, Selby, Williams at the Tour Championship. And then 7, 8 and 9 on the one-year list are Bingham, Wilson and Gilbert in that order. Separated by only 6,000 ranking points. So, down in Gibraltar, anything could happen.
6. Seven. $13. 14.
Just flicked on a little bit of side, which widened the angle for the cue ball off the top cushion to drop nicely on the black. Position this of real promise.
$21.
Or at least it was. He may not be on anything here at all.
Martin Gould, 21.
Turned away in disgust when the cue ball caught the green. Can tell you, by the way, that Jack Lazowski has just drawn level with Judd Trump at 1 frame each, rattling through the frames there as fully anticipated. An aggressive safety shot. One of those that quite often throws down the gauntlet. Well, you have to say, one way and another, Stuart Bingham not having the best of fortune.
Foul.
See what I mean?
Martin Gould 4.
See what I mean. Could have been left a much easier red than that to control. Things aren't going his way.
One.
Well, he might have been the beneficiary of some good luck, Martin Gould, but that was a really silky pot.
Seven.
And now, quite easily, he could be into win frame 2. In his own mind, he'll be thinking, this is the chance that I should capitalise upon.
8. $14. 15. 21. 22.
Now, this is the kind of pink to the same pocket that Bingham missed when he was in a good place in frame 1. Now, by potting the bottom red of the 3 here, Gould opens up the other 2.
$29.
Not for the first time in this match. Incorrect side of the blue, though. Needs colour, red colour.
34. Martin Gould, 34.
Well, a good break, and again, fortunate because, having missed the red, it went onto a side cushion, which, for Stuart Bingham, is exactly what he doesn't want to happen. 48 adrift, 59 on. As always in these cases, two separate agendas. Bingham would love to see the two awkward reds in open play. It's the last thing that Gould wants to see. Now, I know Bingham put another red safe there, but really, it was a case of necessity. Now, this is a classic case of protecting your lead. If there was nothing in it, Gould might play safe off one of the three reds that are awkward. But by trying to pot that one, it was well worth it, because that red plus a black across the top cushion would have been enough. Well enough, at least, to leave Bingham needing snookers. Well, that was adventurous, and it could be frame-changing. Now only one awkward ball on the table. I suppose the red that Bingham has just deliberately moved was semi-awkward. The one nearest his bridge hand could be the issue.
Eight. Nine. 16.
Now, the normal convention isn't to remove one red in potting another, but the angle might be here, you know. If Bingham elects to do this, he's trusting to a little bit of luck in terms of position on the colour. But at least now the red is out, and if he pots a pressure black here, the pendulum will have swung. Lovely stuff.
24. $25. 30.
6 colours left, 18 behind. He needs all of them.
$32. 35.
There's an argument to say that Gould maybe didn't play this situation as savvy as he might have done.
$39.
And now Gould could be seeing this frame snatched away.
$44. 50. Stuart Bingham 57.
Well, a fine clearance, I'm sure you will agree. It could so easily have been 2-0 to Martin Gould, but with a 57 clearance to the black, Stuart Bingham wins the second frame. Nay, he steals it. Consequently, instead of being 2-0 Gould, it is 1 frame each. The very latest from table 1, by the way. It looks like going 2-1 to Jack Lazowski. With 5 colours left on the table, Trump needs a snooker. I'll tell you when that scoreline does change. As for this table, though, what a clearance that was. And when you make a clearance of that nature in any form of snooker, whether it be best of 5, 7, whatever the distance, it does have a really positive impact on you, coupled with, quite often, a negative impact on its victim. Bingham had had the best of luck in the first couple of frames, but when his chance arose, excellent.
Frame 3, Martin Gould to break.
nowhere near. By the way, keeping my promise, I can tell you that Jack Lazowski officially now leads Judd Trump 2-1. Gould was just looking at the cue ball there, thinking it might possibly sneaking off, but it was always heading towards that far jaw as we're looking.
Six. 7.
When the players do that,
14.
wipe their hands on the base to knock away chalk and anything they might see there, that's called gardening in snooker.
15.
When a player does it habitually, of course they're called a gardener. Don't know how the phrase came into the game, but it's certainly regularly used now as Martin Gould plays an absolute peach. Now, when you take the cue ball into the bunch of reds to spread them,
22.
there are lots of different ways. The most difficult way is to take the white off the top cushion in potting the black with pace and go into them. He played that absolutely textbook.
$23. 26. 27.
These reds are beautifully located for a big score.
$32. 33. 40. 41.
Establishing a very nice lead. And still with a selection of balls to go for. I'm
48.
absolutely sure that Stuart Bingham believes he's going to be 2-1 down at the end of this Martin Gould visit.
49. $56. 57.
Just a series of straightforward pots. Accurate positional shots. No alarms.
$64. 65.
So now for Bingham, there are 67 points on the table, so it means that this black for Gould will leave Bingham requiring a couple of snookers. Of course, he would love an extra red to make absolutely sure.
$72. 73.
The frame is secure. Now it's a matter of whether Gould can go on to make a century. We've had 3 centuries in the group so far.
76.
103 from Jed Trump, 117 from John Higgins against Martin Gould
77.
in what proved to be the penultimate frame. And the highest break so far, 120 from Neil Robertson.
$82.
Normally, if you make the highest break in a group, it's £500, but in the winners group, the high break bonus is £1,000.
$83.
So Gould will be incentivised to put together as many as he possibly can, although that positional effort wasn't at the top of the tree. Position retrieved, even though the cue ball is close to the side cushion.
$91.
Very nice indeed.
97.
From here, Gould really should set the new target for the high break of the group.
98.
Blew his choice off the last red. So if he does clear up, it will be a 130 total clearance. And coincidentally, 130 was the break that allowed John Higgins to scoop an extra £500 last night for the highest break in Group 7.
105.
Forget the high break because the green goes astray. Nevertheless, after seeing the previous frame snatched from his grasp, that was a really good effort from Martin Gould. A break of 105, the 4th century that's been compiled in the winners group of Championship League Snooker of 2019. And by the way, that is the 90th century in the tournament overall this year. And the consequence of that, Martin Gould leads Stuart Bingham by 2 frames to 1. Looking good for Jack Lisowski over on table 1. He's 2-1 ahead and almost on the brink of victory in frame 4. So Judd Trump, after winning his first match, 3-1 against Stuart Bingham, the man in your picture, well, it looks as though he's going to suffer a 3-1 defeat next time out. Given the personnel on display here, and the fact that all matches are the best of 5 frames, I think it's very, very unpredictable what will happen. And it just gives you the impression that come tomorrow tea time, it's going to be a real scrum as to who makes the top 4 in the group. I think it's going to be very tight indeed. As I've been speaking to you, by the way, Lisowski back at the table. It is confirmed he's going to beat Judd Trump, absolutely, definitely, by 3 frames to 1. So Jack Lisowski, after losing his first match 3-1, has a point on the board. Next up on table 1, by the way, Michael McMullen will stay in the commentary chair, and he will be calling the shots as Trump remains in action up against Neil Robertson, the unbeaten Neil Robertson, who has 2 wins out of 2, thanks to 3-1 wins, first over Lisowski, then over Mark Selby. By the way, that match, Trump against Robertson, is Robertson's closing match of the day. If he were to win it, he would clock off in a very strong position.
One.
One interesting thought for those of you who like to bet on the
4.
correct scores, I think because we've got so much quality in this group, 3-0s might be in short supply. This is the 6th match to be completed. This won't be a 3-0, and none of the first 5 were either 3-1 or 3-2 scorelines.
12. 13.
Again, the ball's conspiring against Bingham.
20.
Might have had a red to right middle, but it's blocked by another.
Stuart Bingham 20.
Just bunting the cue ball deep into baulk, but the red bumping off the middle pocket jaw has left Gould an opening. Again, Bingham not being fortunate. That's actually dropped ideally for Martin Gould. Got some angle on the brown. Now there's a line of 4 reds there, diagonal line. I think the second one down from the pink might pot. Just took a look at that. Clearly not quite sure. He's taken a second look as well, so plumping for what he knows to be true, which is the red will go to middle.
Six.
Now from that shot we just saw very, very briefly, I don't think that red I was telling you about will pot. So might have to come off a couple of cushions here. Well, he got into the reds in a fashion, but basically developed nothing. again,
12.
the potting skills of Martin Gould, I think, are very underrated. 72nd, I was telling you earlier on today, in the one-year list. How can that be? I rate him highly. He's a ranking event winner. He's won 4 professional tournaments, actually, in total.
17.
72nd on the one-year list. That's an aberration. Surely his form and the results will come back. He's too good for them not to. Well, I think the break ends now. Well, that was a seemingly cheeky attempt at a double. But when you look at the cue ball, the only red he was leaving was the one he went for, and he hasn't left it. Play is about to resume on the other table, table 1, where the unbeaten Neil Robertson puts that 100% record on the line against Judd Trump. You know, that could be costly. The cue ball nowhere near returning to the bulk area of the table. And what's more, the red has been clipped out.
One.
We've seen him play that shot a couple of times in this match. The one where he pots the red to that pocket, but because he doesn't want to go into the bunch, he pots it with check side. Now this could be the shot that wins him the match.
Six.
Gould floats it in.
Seven.
And from here, what a gilt-edged opportunity to win 3-1. Didn't go quite through for the black as he wanted to, but the pink is an obvious alternative.
14.
After losing his first match in the winners group 3-1 to Judd Trump. Right now Stuart Bingham must be fearing the worst here. Quite possibly another 3-1 defeat could be in the offing. Although there, Gould
21.
just got into the white a little too much, and that's why the cue ball is a tad closer to the side cushion than he wanted.
22.
Problem solved. Well, if you keep chalking up the
29.
wins in this winners group, it's a lucrative exercise. He pocketed £600 for beating John Higgins 3-2 in the morning session. And now surely another £600 is coming Gould's way for beating Stuart Bingham.
35.
Gould's break is 36. The lead is 41. This is frame ball, match ball.
$43. 44.
That, everyone, is match over, surely.
Martin Gould 44.
Well, Stuart Bingham, being the consummate professional he is, battling on, but he's 49 behind with 35 on the table. That means 4 snookers are required. In this kind of situation, the hope for Bingham is that he could possibly extract a free ball on the last red, which would be worth an additional 8 points, potentially. I think the chances of extracting penalty points from 4 successful snookers is nigh on impossible. If Bingham does lose, which looks highly likely, it's going to be a very important evening for him because he's got 2 matches on table 1 in the evening session, back-to-back, first against Jack Lazowski, then against John Higgins. As for Martin Gould's schedule the rest of the day, well, he's only engaged on 1 other occasion. Kicks off the evening session here on table number 2 against Mark Selby. Sometimes I'm asked by people, what's the record for a player winning a frame requiring the most number of snookers? Well, I'm afraid to say that's a record that hasn't been kept, really. Most recently, a couple of years ago actually, at Preston Guildhall, in a semi-final of a ranking event, Ryan Day got 4 snookers in a frame to overcome Marco Fu. More than that have been laid, of course they have, but the precise record we're not quite sure of. But the record isn't going to be set in this frame, and that's because Martin Gould has dispatched the last red. He's played very nicely in that match when Stuart Bingham cleared up with 57 to snatch the second frame on the black for 1-1. We thought it might be a turning point. Not so. Gould made a 105 break in the third frame to regain the lead, and then ended up winning by 3 frames to 1. So Martin Gould has made a 100% start to the winners group of Championship League 2019. 2 wins out of 2. Next up, here on table 2, it's a battle of 2 former world champions. John Higgins against the current world number 1, Mark Selby. Dave Hendon will be commentating on that one. I'll leave you in Dave's capable hands. Action should resume in around 10 minutes.